Hello, this is Khalid from Absolute Geeks, and today we're going to talk about the LG G Flex. Dubbed as the world's first curved and flexible smartphone, we're very excited to have a look at this phone and see what it's got in store for us. Now, starting with a few specs about the phone, it's got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 2.26 GHz quad-core processor. It weighs 177 grams. It runs Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean, so no KitKat for you yet. It's got a whopping 3,500 milliamps battery on it. It's got a 6-inch HD display and curved OLED, as you can see. We'll talk a bit about that later. And it's got a 13 megapixel main camera here at the back, and it's got a 2.1 megapixel front camera here at the front. So it's got a 2 gigabyte RAM and 32 built-in gigabyte of memory inside. So this is a quick run at the specs, and now we're going to talk about how good is this phone, and we're going to go through some of its features. So first off, let's look at the shape and size of this and what we've got going around here. So first of all, it's got a 6-inch screen, so it's quite big. It's quite difficult to hold in one hand, but for those with big hands, it might find it nice. It's nice to consume media on this as well. Big screens are always welcome when you're into that sort of thing. It's actually larger than, this is the Note 3 I've got here, Samsung Galaxy Note 3, and it's larger than the Note 3, and it's quite comparable to the Nokia 1520 actually. So when we put it side by side by the 1520, we found it to be around the same size, of course barring for the flex screen here. Now, so what do we have here? This is it's a gorgeous 6-inch screen that we have, and we have front-facing camera here, obviously the microphone down here and the speaker up here. We've got here the LG infamous button right here with the volume rocker, and the 13 megapixel camera with the flash and the sensor. So it's quite an interesting phone. We've got here the charger as well, and the 3.5 jack, and another noise cancelling microphone up here. We insert the SIM card through here, and there is no slot for expandable memory here. So the 32 GB is all you can get on it. So let's first talk about the curved screen here. Now, LG is proud of being the first brand to actually come up with a flexible screen. They say it's curved and it's flexible. Now, I can attest to one and kind of object to the other. While it is actually curved, as you can see, it's visibly curved, it's not really flexible. You can't really bend this, and it's not really a flexible screen. So it's a little misleading when they actually say that it's flexible. But it is curved. It's quite interesting, and it turned a few heads while we were using it, and a lot of people asked us, and we find it quite interesting that it's curved. Now, the number one question everybody asked us when they saw this is, what's the point? What's the point of it being curved? We actually found it difficult to find really a point to this. There's two reasons why we could think of. One is that it's beautiful to consume videos, watch YouTube, watch series and stuff on it while it's curved. It gives you that cinematic feeling of looking into different angles here, and it's quite beautiful to look at the angles through it. And the other one is that it fits nicely in your back pocket because it kind of takes the shapes of your backside. So these are the two most logical reasons, practical reasons we could think of. Aside from that, we can't really find a point of it being curved apart from it just looking interesting and turning a few heads. But it is definitely a beautiful piece of device. The screen is beautiful to look at. And another thing the LG is quite proud of is it's a curved battery inside here. So we can't open this, so we can't see the battery. But they say it's the first curved battery that is placed inside this. So that's exciting on an engineering level, so to say. So let's look at it now. It has a knock-on effect as the LG G2. So there's a lot of similarities between this and the LG G2. So as you can see, the main button is back here. It's not on the sides. You got the volume rocker back here as well. So basically you're using your index finger to access everything back here without having to, reach up and down and into the weird corners here. So that's quite nice. It takes a little getting used to, but once you do, it's quite easy to use. Another difficulty we found here is that sometimes while we're watching some videos or something, we're trying to reach, to bring the volume up or down. We kind of have to sense our way because we're looking here, so we have to sense our way into which button we have to press. The main button here, the power button, is protruding a little bit, which makes it a bit easier for us to kind of, sense our way around. And that's why we said it takes a little getting used to find your way around which buttons to press when without looking. But once you get used to it, it's quite easy to use and it makes life quite easier. So it's got a knock-on effect here. So you tap twice to turn the screen on, you tap twice to turn it off. You can also do that by pressing the power button. So you press it to turn it on and you press it to turn it off. It's got that nice, screen TV thing that Nexus has, that nice effect when the screen closes like that. And another nice feature it has here, and I don't know if we can see it here, is that this screen is kind of interactive. So as you move the device up and down, it kind of goes up and down. I don't know, here we go. So, it's a little gimmicky, but something to play around with when you're bored and you just want to look at your phone and do nothing. So let's delve into it. So a little swipe when we're in there. So here's the screen. As you can see, it's gorgeous to look at. It's quite big, so the real estate is massive here. You can put tons of apps, on the main screens. You can always add more here. And you've got as well the app drawer, of course, with all your apps back here. And you can go to the widgets. Oops, here we go. So we can go to the widgets and add your widgets up here. So standard Android settings, standard Android UI when it comes to these main features. And of course, it's got its own LG skin on it, which gives it these extra, these icons that kind of look like Samsung. There's a lot of similarities between LG UI and Samsung UI. So if you like if you like Samsungs, you'll like this one. If you hate or dislike Samsungs, then you're probably not going to like this one. But so there's a lot of similarities there. So this is a notification center, and as you can see, it's there's a lot of stuff you can find on it here. So so here we've got this kind of shortcut menu where you can toggle between Wi-Fi, Bluetooth on and off, GPS, NFC, etc. So a bunch of stuff that we have here that we can turn on and off. You can naturally edit this, so you can move stuff up and down or just disable them altogether from down here. Another thing we've got here as well is the Q-Slide apps, and this is where we can actually launch apps into small windows like that, and we can move them around like so and close them if we choose to. We can launch up to 3 apps like that. So here's one, let's say the dialer, and let's launch the calendar app, and they all sit side by side, and you can do some multitasking, some major multitasking going on here. And you can actually resize them by going to the corner here and making them larger or smaller if you want. There's of course a minimum size that you can reach, and they overlap between, or you can just maximize them like that and go into more details. So that's Q-Slide apps for you, and you've got a bunch of them here, so you can access them quickly here. Obviously the brightness level here, you can toggle up and down or make it just automatic, and the volume control here. Now one thing we found to be a little bit confusing is the settings button here for the volume control, and we have the settings button here for the overall settings of the phone. Now we found ourselves to always kind of press this one for the settings, and it's a bit confusing in the beginning, but again, it's one of those things that you can get used to later and know your way around it. So let's look at the settings here and see what we've got. So as we said, it's running Android 4.2.2 at the moment. We have no idea when KitKat is going to reach this. LG has not said anything about that yet, but for now 4.2.2 is going to do, but it runs quite smoothly on the phone with no problems. We got the display menu here with home screen, lock screen, front touch buttons. This is one thing we love about LG, is that you can change the button combination from the front button. So you've got here the back button, the home button, and the menu, and you've got different options or variations of them, or you can even add some toggles of other stuff here, of running apps or tasks and so on. So it's quite handy to, you know, depending on your preference, it's highly customizable to choose one of them depending on what you want. So it's a very nice feature that we love here. Especially when you're moving from another phone where you're used to having the back button on the right side, for example, or the menu on the left side and so on. So you can always change according to your preference. So that's a welcome feature. So we've got here screen timeout, you know, the usual stuff, font type, font size. Smart screen detects your face, you know, something very Samsung-y as well. Kind of detects your face to see if you're looking at the phone and keeps it on. We actually found it not to work 100% of the time, but it does, you know, especially when it's dark around us. But it works, let's say, 70% of the time. Smart video pauses the video when you're not looking at the phone as well. Again, another Samsung feature that Samsung came up with it first, but that we found to be quite annoying, because while we were looking at the video kept on pausing by itself. So we kind of disabled it altogether. Maybe a future update can fix that, and, you know, LG's got some work to do there. Apart from that, you know, the usual lock screen pattern and so on, and you can change the wallpaper and animation on the lock screen and so on. So the usual stuff here. Moving to sound, you know, you got quiet mode, vibrate and so on. So usual stuff as well. And networks, Wi-Fi, NFC, mobile data, etc. So it's all the basic stuff here. Now let's look at the things that this phone has that others probably, you know, kind of lack. So some of the most notable features we have here is, for example, in gestures, you know, you have the knock-on effect, so you can turn that on and off. Now, one thing we didn't, you know, we kind of, when we experienced this in the LG G2, is that in the knock-on, you can't do it when your screen is full. So whatever I press here is going to launch that app. I can't really double tap anywhere, and, you know, unless I'm going to launch one of those apps. So I have to go into an empty area like this one and double tap to turn it off. Of course, double tap to turn on. It just kind of turns on wherever you are. So that's a bit, you know, maybe, you know, if you can manage sensitivity where you can double tap anywhere regardless if you're tapping an app or not. But at this time, you have to leave, if you want to be on the home screen, you have to leave an empty space so you can double tap that empty space for that to work. So we found that to be a little bit annoying. So coming back to here and into gestures, so, you know, knock on, you can disable it if you don't like it, and you can always use the back button as we said back here. By the way, this kind of works as notification light as well, and you can change the colors for different notifications here. So if you got the phone flipped over like that, if you're in a meeting or something, this thing keeps, you know, blinking, and you know, it's pretty to look at. You know, answering incoming calls just by putting your phone to your ear, fade out once you grab your phone and stuff like that. This kind of exists, you know, elsewhere at the moment. One-handed operation, obviously a very big phone, so it's difficult to reach all the angles that you want to reach across the board here. So you might want sometimes the buttons to come to you instead, and this is what these features are. So dial keypad, it gives you arrows, and you can kind of move them to this direction or this direction depending on how you're holding it, or if you're lefty or right-handed. The keyboard the same way, you know, lock screen, if you have the pin, you know, pin code, if your phone is locked and you want to enter it, so you don't have to reach out to the end of the screen to get that, so it kind of moves to the right or to the left for you, and so on. So this is quite handy for people who find difficulty reaching the other side of the phone, so to say. Multitasking as well, so slide aside, and this is what slide aside looks like. So basically what you can do is, let's say we launch this app, and then we take 3 fingers and we slide aside like that, and it saves it. It says app saved. So we can launch, for example, the Play Store, and we can just slide aside like that, app saved. So what happens is we scroll down, we have these 2 apps, and we can have up to 10 apps here, and they open up like that, and we can choose one of them, or we can just slide them away to get rid of them, or you can just X them like that. So this is quite handy if you have, let's say, 3 or 4 apps that you use all the time or access all the time, and you just want to have a quick access to them without, you know, trying to find them or having shortcuts for them or something. You can always go to slide aside. You have 2 or 3 apps here. You open them and you're open side by side, just like we showed, and you can choose any one of them. So looking at videos now and moving into the video quality of this. Now this is a video that comes built in. So as you can see, viewing angles are beautiful. This is an HD video that's built in the phone itself, and it's very nice to look at. The experience is much nicer when you're actually handling the phone itself, but you can still see it here as well. Sound is not bad as well coming from the speaker. So let me just pause that. Or maybe just put the volume down. Okay, so sound is not bad either. You know, the speakers are you know, you've got one speaker here and that's it basically, but it's quite loud enough for you to consume stuff, you know, on the go. But of course, preferably if you're on a train or a bus or something, just use it, you know, the headset, and you get much better quality of sound. But the screen is absolutely beautiful to look at. Look at this, you know, especially when you're watching in HD, and you know, it does give you that kind of, you know, you can only notice this when I do this, and that curve gives you that feeling as if the screen is kind of curved towards you, and it is actually curved. So it's you know, it's really beautiful to look at and watch stuff on it, especially if it's HD. Obviously, you know, if it's bad quality, then you wouldn't notice this much, you know. So that's as far as the quality of the video is concerned. Now looking at pictures. Now we've taken some pictures here and we're going to post them on the site, so you can look at them. It takes some nice, you know, close-ups. It's got really high quality close-ups here. The camera is beautiful to use as well. We'll post some pictures on the, you know, on the site, and you can take a look at them and see. But it's really good in macro. It's really good with colors. Another picture here that we can share is this one we took here in Dubai, and you can see the colors are vibrant and beautiful. You know, there's no filters applied here. This is standard auto mode. This is not HDR. So as you can see, it's quite beautiful to look at, and then the screen makes it even look nicer. So let's look at the camera now and what features do we have on the camera. So as we said, we've got a 13 megapixel back camera here, you know, and 2.1 megapixel camera up front here. You know, it's a big screen, so you can always have, you know, there's a big real estate here with the camera. You can toggle between video and picture up here, take the photo here and go to the gallery here, standard stuff. You can change the mode here, and kind of gives you this grid of different modes that you have. So shot and clear, dynamic tone, panorama, burst mode, etc. So you have a bunch of them here, or you can change the way you view them by clicking on this, and you just go up and down like that. And you have a description for each one. It gives you what kind of you know, what effect it gives you. So shot and clear, take a photo, tap any of the outline objects to remove it from the photo. You know, nothing massively new here. Other phones may have this stuff, but it's nice to see that this phone has it as well. And we've got toggle, of course, here, and just, you know, take a selfie, which everybody seems to be doing these days, and back to the front camera. So the camera is pretty neat, and it's pretty easy to use and straightforward. It takes beautiful pictures, and it's very, you know, it's very nice to use. So looking at the browser, we always kind of use Chrome. It's quite fast and easy to use. Going to Absolute Geeks here, and it loads quite quickly as well. Well, depending on your internet speed, obviously. So there you go. Here's our site. Still loading, I guess. Let's give it a little refresh. Okay, our internet seems to be overloaded. Perhaps we're downloading a lot of stuff. So here we go. So as you can see, scrolling is quite fast and quite smooth. Everything is already loaded. The site is already mobile friendly, so no issues there. but as you can see, it's quite, you know, easy to go through this, and it's quite smooth with no lags or any issues here whatsoever. So this is the LG G Flex, the first, as LG claims, the world's first flexible curved phone. The main features, or the main, you know, factors we loved about this phone is obviously the screen. It's a 6-inch curved OLED. It's beautiful to look at. It's beautiful to consume media on. So for those who prefer large phones, this is quite a large phone, but of course, you know, that comes with all the goodness of the large size screen. The bezel is quite small on the sides, so, you know, plenty of screen real estate here. For those who do dislike big phones, then this is definitely not the phone for them, because it's quite a handful. The camera is easy to use and takes beautiful shots. It's got nice features like the knock-on, multitasking galore, and a number of other handy tricks up its sleeve. And it's, you know, it's beautiful to consume videos on. A lot of real estate here to put your apps or widgets on, and so on. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page on Facebook, and thank you.